What's going on, Illumineers? Welcome back to episode 13 of the Freedom Gaming Podcast. As you can see, we have a pretty full house with a special guest today. In this episode, we are definitely going to be talking about the super cool Octo Case tournament. It was hosted by SSG, which, again, like you can see a little SSG tag over our special guest over there, so he is ready to talk about that as well. So per usual, I am John, hosting like always. We'll start all the way on the far left to SSG Ghosty, aka Jack. Jack, how you doing tonight?
Good. Glad to be here. Thanks for finally having me on the podcast. Thanks for having me on the podcast before Hector, especially.
Oh boy.
We're starting off with that.
Oh wow, we
Oh my god.
fired shots
I already know
50
want
seconds
Hector
in.
to- This is
Yeah.
be mad. But
Bill
yeah,
and
no,
Art-
no. I love you, Hector. That's my team captain over at SSG. Great to be here, and just super excited to talk with you guys about this event, because what a day, what a run from three of us here, honestly, all did marathon runs. You know I mean? Like, whether we're talking about gameplay or casting. So.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a long day for you guys, but it was.
Well, Brian had a good one too. No shot.
Oh man.
Jeez, damn, Jack just came
we
on,
should've
just
had you on
fired.
earlier.
Pop, 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 pop.
We are recording this late, so I'm
Oh my
sorry.
God.
Spicy Jack is out.
Oh boy. To my left again, we have Joey. Joey, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Glad to be here again. Love to run these episodes. I love to see my new mat that's sitting behind me.
Oh man,
We'll talk about that a little
spoiler
later.
warning.
Subtle flex.
This guy, humble brag over here. Doesn't play Lorcana for a month and then casually gets a mat.
Well, he doesn't have the Let It Go promo card, so he does have to
Jesus. I gotta
this
mute.
nice little second place, baby.
I gotta mute Jack before we're having two introductions already.
Oh.
Underneath me, we got Brian. Brian, who did go down to Florida, and he found his way back to North Carolina late last night. But he's home, ready to go per usual. Brian, how you doing tonight?
A little tired still, man. I can't say jet lag because we drove, but super glad to be here. What a crazy event. Can't wait to cover it. And rolling right into the new year, it's been a wonderful year with Lorcana, how much this game has developed, the amount of times that we've been able to meet up with one another, and can't wait to dig into it a little bit deeper.
Oh yeah, definitely. It has truly been a great year, but definitely glad you got home safe too. I know that drive is not fun for you, especially when you don't stop midway through, when you go all the way. So I know what you mean. And then last and certainly not least, we got Mike in the bottom left. Mike, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, it's funny. I guess it was so long on Saturday that I forgot we haven't done a pod since Christmas. So, you know,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to everybody too.
Yeah.
You know,
Merry
hopefully
Christmas, Happy
everybody's
Hanukkah,
holidays
Happy
were good.
Kwanzaa, Happy holidays to
Yeah,
everyone.
all the above for sure.
Mike over here, you know,
But
after commentating for 12 hours, he's had to rest his voice. So glad he's not talking.
Seriously.
Yeah, bro. Like,
Yeah.
if you haven't commentated for, even if you haven't commentated for like 2 hours, like let alone 8 to 12, like it is not for the faint of heart for sure. So we don't really have much on the docket, so except for our the SSG Octo Case tournament. So for those of you that don't know, it was hosted at SSG in Margate, Florida. This has been the second, or there've been a couple of big events there, but this is
Yeah, it's like the third
or
big
fourth,
event, but
yeah.
the second one that
set
was
6,
like
yeah.
a big collaboration with South Florida Lorcana Network.
Yep,
but,
definitely. Yeah, so obviously the big one was at those literally day 0 of set 6, which I know a lot of people played.
Yep.
Mike was supposed to commentate that one, but he decided to have a baby. So
No, yep.
so this one he actually was able to make it
Priorities,
to.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is again Octo Case. There was 94 players, I believe it was, right? Was the total 94, 93, somewhere around there?
94 in the end, yeah,
Yep.
after dropping the no-shows.
Yep, definitely. So it was a big event. There were 7 rounds and a lot of pretty good performances. A pretty fair top 8 metagame. The top 8 is on Inkdex, but we're gonna talk about a few people. So I think probably best would be if Mike can kick us off. So Mike obviously was the main commentator along with Gabe, and then I think Kylie filled in a couple times there. But obviously Mike and Gabe were the heavy hitters there. So Mike, just talk about what you thought of the event. You know, from the being behind the camera as opposed to playing like you're usually used to.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it was. I've never commentated before, outside of just watching games. So
And you killed it, by the way. Like you couldn't tell it was your first time.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just I probably was a little too critical, I think, of players. And I was trying to make sure I wasn't. But it's kind of hard when I see something that is like blatantly wrong.
Yep.
And just be like, hey, interesting choice there. Let's see how this works out. Kind of
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the job as casters to speculate a little bit too. You know what I mean? And as a very competitive player, you are gonna kind of have a critical eye, right? So
and there were definitely a couple of the more free flowing games, if you will, that were played early, especially early on in the tournament. That like I was watching it and my wife was watching with me, and I was like just yelling at the screen. She was like, "Why are you yelling? Why are you watching if it makes it mad?" I'm like, I just have to watch.
Yeah, no, it's true, but it was an absolute blast to share the booth with both Gabe and Kylie. I had major FOMO throughout the day.
Yeah.
Actually, honestly, when it really set in is when they showed us the meta share, which we'll have a graphic that we can show you guys. I'll have we'll throw that on the screen here. But 25% Ruby Amethyst as a Sapphire Amethyst player, that makes me really excited. I really didn't think there was going to be that much Ruby Amethyst. I thought Ruby Sapphire was going to be number one deck by a wide margin to counteract the Amber Steel that we saw so prevalent in Charlie's. But the event as a whole, I mean, dude, listening to Devin on how passionate he is about growing this community, like I had chills. I was ready to run through that commentator's booth when he's doing the players meeting, and he's like, "All right, here's what we got going on, guys. We got this 8Ks tournament, which by the way became an 8Ks tournament 2 days before the event. It was a 4Ks." Became an 8K
4Ks tournament that cost $15 to enter,
and then became an
8Ks tournament that was free.
Yeah, exactly. So
crazy.
that's the first thing he was talking about, and then the Peter Ray Mundo being added with a signed card for every participant, and then a signed card for each of the top 8. So that's the participation trophy that Brian's showing down there. And then there was some for top 8 as well that Joey and Jack can probably show off if they have it around.
Yeah, here, let me.
Top four is the collector edition of Stitch, and if you guys can see, Stitch is actually holding a trophy that has your actual place.
Actually, it was 1 through 8. Actually,
1 through 8.
Yeah, 1 through 8.
So 1 through 4 had the enchanted version of this card, while 5th through 8th had the regular version, but they all had the place.
Yeah, it's really super cool.
So yeah, you can see.
Oh
yeah.
Awesome. Flipped, but yeah.
So and then not to just cap it all off, and he's like, "Oh, and by the way, we're gonna have 6 of our designated players are gonna have bounties. They weren't all SSG sponsored players. Oh, it was 5.
Yeah,
So
five players. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it was you, Robbie, Hector,
Danny, and then
Kamal.
Oh, Kamal, yeah.
Kamal's
the last one,
right? That's right. Yeah. Okay. But they got a box if they beat one of those players. I mean,
and there were quite a few boxes given out.
Yeah. Oh, Joey, did you get a box?
Joey did get a box.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I forgot it was top 8. I was
like, literally, as soon as he beats me in top cut, his first the bounty's still active, right? Just like, I'm already getting all this other swag, but I just want to make sure I'm getting that one extra box on top of it, right? Right? Because I just kicked Jack's ass.
This freaking guy, man.
But to hear the passion and
man.
I mean, it was really cool to see someone who runs an event like this cares so much about the player experience, and it's just contagious. Like you just want to do everything you can to get more people into their store, to get them more business. So yeah, it was a great event. I, however, will probably be playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
but hey, yeah, it happens to the best of us, man.
Oh yeah, no, but
that's why.
Yep. It was definitely looked like it was run really well. Like everyone was on time. Melee didn't crash. I mean, and it's so. I know we say that a lot, but it truthfully is like that's always something you have to shout out. Like if Melee doesn't crash, it was a good day.
Yeah.
It also
production.
Oh yeah, the production. There was definitely some lapses at times. There was some stuff that you could tell like they were still working on.
Like at the start there was some stutters, and then dude. I mean, so I've rewatched all the footage again, like obviously was not watching it day of, but going back and rewatching it all, like it is just so great to see like our production team, like Jason was putting together like new graphics on the fly.
Oh yeah.
To literally like, you know, once we realized like, oh, okay, actually this wasn't going to be displayed very well. So he started like putting together all this new stuff to literally like make it work. Like, dude, it's crazy. And so I promise you for the next one, it's going to be even more leveled up. Because like if you go back and look at for the Azurite C release tournament, like our stream then and then for this one, like how the drastic increase and how crazy it's gotten quality wise between then and now, just because of like the new equipment, extra cameras, you know, just things we've learned about positioning and just all that, because everybody here is kind of, you know, learning as we go, but it's just going to keep getting better and better.
And then you have Ronald running the event as a TO. He did great with his military voice.
Yes, dude.
Yelling across the whole building.
Yep.
It was good.
Yeah, literally, like I could not imagine a better person from our community than Ronald to be like the head judge, because he is just the ultimate like no sass, like just when I tell you to, you are gonna listen, and you know what I mean, like no megaphone required. He'll get the whole room to quiet down.
A non-gameplay highlight I have to share before we pass it over to Brian for his tournament experience was definitely, they had a guy walking around doing video for the event, and he happened to walk by when Chuck just X2 dropped. I think this was probably round 4 or 5. And he asked Chuck, "Hey, how's it going?" kind of thing. And Chuck, like, you know, as transparent as he can be, he actually caught himself. He was like, "Well, you know, he's like, I'm having a great time because, you know, I'm a personality in this game." And he's like, "Oh shucks, I'm going home."
It is so great. I cannot wait for that footage to come out. I hope that, you know, like Noe chops it up into like a nice little video to throw out on Instagram or something like that, because there are some great clips.
He was great too. He was there all day from start to finish, all the way till after like 1 o'clock. Like, he put in work that day.
And checking in with like not only like players in between rounds, but like judges and other staff and stuff, just to, you know, and like obviously like the like cool guests like Peter Raimundo and stuff, you know, just getting like everybody's perspective on the event. So it was just so cool, man. He was all over the place. Like every time I turned around, I was like, oh, there he is talking to someone new. Like it was.
Be careful what I say.
The recap video is definitely going to go hard for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing it too. Obviously, as someone who was not able to make it, unfortunately, I do hope to get down there for sure soon. One of the future ones. So we will definitely see. So then we'll kick it off to Brian. So Brian had a pretty solid day. Lost his first round, unfortunately, to someone who actually did end up making top 8. Won the next 5, and then unfortunately had to play Joey in a win-and-in situation. And as you guys have already heard, Joey made top cut and Brian didn't, so I think you know how that matchup went.
Oh my god, I completely missed that. I did not realize that your second loss. Wow. Oh my god.
So
the fucking savagery, Joe. You did that to him and then took me out of the tournament too.
So I've been kind of cursed since I started my whole Arcana career, always losing my first round in major events, which I need to make sure I turn around before the LCQ.
Can't do that at LCQ.
But it is a single elimination.
But literally Atlanta, Dallas, I think all the DLCs except for Toronto.
You and me 2-0, yep.
Yeah, except for those, I've had my back like basically against the wall right from the start, and I don't know if I'm just like sleepy in the morning, whatever. But obviously, like I got 0-2'd round 1, and then every round up until round 7, I 2-0'd, except for the second to last. I had to play the Forbidden Mountain, Garish, Colby.
Colby.
Oh, Colby. Yeah.
Colby. I was on Amethyst Emerald. It was my comfort pick. Round 1 was against Jafar Wheel, something I certainly didn't expect. And Purple or Amethyst Steel is not the easiest matchup as it is. He was running the Shift. We were just talking about
Jim Hawkins.
Jim Hawkins, and that caused a little bit of havoc for me, as well as once he shifted the Jafar. But everything else kind of still felt like an uphill battle. I had to play Ruby Sapphire twice. Got there, got some disgusting steals of games with Go-Go. got a little bit lucky. I do apologize if Colby ends up watching this. I still feel bad for that game one I stole.
Oh man!
But overall, fantastic. And it was funny enough because once Joey got his first loss against Jonathan, every round after that, we're like, oh, we're going to have to play each other. We're going to have to play each other. I just know it. And then, boom,
Oh, no.
round 7, I was like, oh, it's me and you. But at the same time, we knew, like, regardless, win or lose, one of us was getting in, right?
Man,
so,
and you know what's so crazy about that, too, is in round 4, I believe, Joey and I got matched up when we were both undefeated.
There's a repair?
And then there was a repair.
Yeah.
And instead of fighting Joey, I had to take out my own teammate, Kamal, and put his first loss on the comm forum. And they did not give me the full box bounty. I got a trove, but
they're like team kill doesn't count.
Literally. I went up to Kylie afterwards. I was like, so do I still get the bounty for taking out like my own boy? Like, and he's like, technically not, but I mean, if you want something, and I'm like, well, I wouldn't be opposed, but you know. And he's like, here, take this. He just grabs a trove off the fucking counter and just hands it to me. Like,
this guy.
Oh man, it was so funny. But yeah, so team kills were going around, unfortunately.
Yeah. Something I did want to, and I should have started when I first started, like Mikey mentioned, the passion from everybody that stood up at the beginning when they were doing the player meeting. I was like, oh, here we go. Because in my head, every time I go to a tournament in South Florida, the Miami effect comes into play and everything gets delayed by 15, 20 minutes. But I'm telling you, man, that player meeting, the whole 10, 15 minutes of it, every single time that they made a new announcement, everybody in the room was like, oh, did you just like everybody's eyes was like, no way.
It wasn't like oh, there's
not
going to
just
be
everybody
more
at that
time.
point. Yeah, everybody knew it was the 8 case, but then like Mikey said, the Peter Raimundo. Then they're showing off the artwork. Then they hold up the playmats.
Oh my god, dude, the room.
Dude, everybody was like the energy, dude. The energy was awesome. Everybody's looking around like, oh my god. Then the bounties, and they're like, people are doing the math like 5 players if all of them lose.
they're like give away
35 boxes, like
42 boxes.
Yeah, like people were.
We didn't talk about the side events either.
Yeah. The side events, once again, just like the 4Case tournament, the side events were single elimination, 3 rounds. Winner took a box and an enchanted. Every single pod.
8-man pod. To enter.
They fired one at 12:30 at night.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you serious?
The amount of
people were still signing up. The night was, like the main event was still going. So why not side events? Like
Mike Senior took one home.
Yep, he got an Arthur, I think, right?
I know y'all miss him.
With
Arthur.
It was the Arthur. But literally,
with purple, by the way.
Oh my god,
that's awesome. They catered
amazing.
So much.
Purple game.
Yeah. They catered so well to the community. I came in there. I had a bunch of store credit, sold some more cards.
Raffle.
I won the first raffle. That was awesome. I got a trove. Right after I got eliminated by Joey, I sat down and started cracking my Pokemon boxes, and I ended up pulling the Sunbreon, the chase card from the new one.
In a god pack, no less.
That's one pack, right?
Yeah, one pack, dude. It was insane. And everybody's still in their match, and I was just off to the side, like, minding my business, cracking stuff.
I blew up when I saw him do it.
And Ronald, the TO's like, oh, I bet you crack a god pack. And then I, like, open and look at the back. The back of the few cards flash. I was like, oh! I started panicking, and then the videographer comes over and he records. So I'm sure that might make.
Oh, he got it.
That's awesome.
Like,
and a reaction and everything.
Dude, it was crazy. Everybody stopped playing.
Everybody went nuts,
seconds.
and I was sitting over playing my game. It might have even been one.
You were on stream. You were on stream.
Because,
7,
because I was gonna say I feel like I was at table 1. And I just saw everybody explode, and me and my opponent were like, wait, what's going on over there, And then we're like, oh, it's not even Lorcana related. He opened a Pokemon pack, and we're like, all right, back to business as usual. That was so wild.
But once again, as it's happened with me at I don't know how many events, aside from my first with Atlanta, like have a decent enough record and then just end up bubbling out. could have potentially drawn and gotten in, but we decided the right thing to do was to play it out and team kill each other. And I still, we reached an agreement before we played, like, hey, whoever wins, we'll split some prizing. So I walked away with a few boxes and stuff.
Nice,
dude. I loved it. What a day! Like between the raffle, like Pokemon, which had nothing to do with Lorcana, still getting some prizing, top 8 prizing, and not having to play top 8. Like, I wasn't like, there was always something to do. The meet and greet next door, they had the entire next door area in their new space reserved just for the meet and greet with Peter Raimundo.
Okay.
I got to walk in there. Phenomenal, man. Like, they were killing it. And then something super smart that they did was, for every $20 you spent at the store, it added another entry into the raffle. And the raffle, your entry was good all throughout the entire day until they got to the last 3 raffles, which were 2 Funko Pops, which were illustrated by Peter Raimundo, as well as
so pretty,
as well as a Rockstar Stitch that was illustrated by him. So people were walking out of there with like some amazing
That's
prizing.
crazy.
So ultimately, I ended up going 5-2, lost to Joey. Joey rushed it, man. Super proud of you. Like, that was awesome, well deserved. But I've made it to all 3 big events at SSG. I don't know if I'll be able to swing the next one, but I will do my damnedest to make sure I'm down there anytime that they plan on firing something. Having Mikey in the booth kind of sucked on one hand because he wasn't able to play, but getting to watch the commentary afterwards, I did end up leaving a little bit earlier and met up with my wife, and we went out like on a date night. But the whole time I had the phone out and I watched, like, and then similar to John, like, what the fuck is that guy doing?
Yep.
No, like, and then watching Joey, we went to a bar and I had really bad reception, and so I'm having to like close out, refresh, and like do my best to like, and meanwhile, like, you have all these people, like they're doing whatever and dates and drinking, and then it's just me and my wife, and I'm like, Disney princess cards, go.
I was driving to the airport to pick up my mom and my aunt, and I had it playing through my car. And I was just listening, and then every once in a while I hear like something, I'd be like, I gotta look, and I'm like, oh!
Oh my god!
It was, yeah. I am a serious.
Don't die for Disney Lorcana.
I'm awful about being on my phone when I drive, but the CarPlay has helped me out at least a little bit more. But yeah, no, it was definitely great to watch. It was good. It was like Jack was saying earlier. It was much better. The production quality was just night and day, and it was fantastic to watch.
And
from like the
we're
overlay,
just gonna keep on improving.
Oh yeah, from like the overlay to having like the because like before it was just kind of just 2 names with the lore counter, and then they had like a full overlay. You could see like the game count and everything. But no, it was. Hand cam was amazing.
Yeah.
Even though some people kind of, if there was a way to like have like an automated tripod to like move it, that would probably be like the next evolution.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think lighting as well.
Yeah, we're gonna work on some of the stuff with lighting and glare, and then also we're gonna try to like start like adjusting the hand cams at the beginning of each stream match so that they're a little bit better positioned, because each player holds their hand in like different angles and parts of the table and stuff, So I think
all my games, I kept thinking that I was holding them like perfectly showing the camera, and then rewatching the stream later, I was like 2 feet too tall.
Yeah. So I think we'll improve that for the next one for sure, because I know that's something that both players and casters like really appreciate when there's a good hand cam, because it just opens up for so much more discussion and stuff, and less of like, what is it? Does that look like a Pluto in his hand to you? No, I think it's a Smee.
Like, oh, he did have 3B prepared to his hand.
I know that's a brawl.
Yeah, it just it's not fun for anyone when you got to play those guessing games. So
the glare is probably going to be
better.
the biggest troubleshooting, I think, just because like so many you have people like Casey played with like all foils or something like that, so it's going to be just hard to
triple sleeves.
Exactly, triple sleeves, so stuff like that.
The biggest hope with the SSG, with them expanding, like they're talking about making this big room in the back that is kind of dedicated towards streaming and like staff storage as well. But like if they dedicate it to streaming and get proper lighting in there for like getting all the angles, diffused lenses and stuff, like they could really up that level just to DLC or higher quality.
Dude,
And again,
I'm
this
sure
is
knowing
early
Devin, I'm sure they
stages.
will.
Yeah, this is early
Oh, for
stages
sure.
for SSG, and they are already so committed to the community, not just
Mhm.
Lorcana, but TCGs across the board. But yeah, my day, just to kind of reel it back in, my day was phenomenal. Unfortunately, missed Top Cut, but I had a blast, and can't wait to get back there. Loved hanging out with everybody. It's always great to hang out with friends and essentially family and stuff. So, yeah, that was my day.
Oh yeah, good showing as usual. Playing your tried and true Amethyst Emerald for sure. We'll see if you play it again though in a week. Who knows? Never know. Yeah, I heard that before.
I'm gonna guess not.
All right, so we'll kick it off to you next, Jax. Southside Gaming's own. After your impressive run, your day was quite impressive. Starting 7-0 on a
Bro,
deck that you've truly only been playing
not
for
believe
like on a deck you've legitimately only been playing probably for about 2 weeks. Two and a
Yeah,
half
no,
weeks,
I can pinpoint it exactly because I'll go to my DMs with Mikey and I can show.
Yeah, I was
look
gonna
at the
I was
date
gonna
of
say,
the
yeah.
message because I'll tell you when my Blurple journey started. I sent him on December 17th. I
13 days ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent him a message and I said, what was it?
Please, baby Jesus, help me.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, I just I tried to.
Emerald Amethyst.
I tried changing up the deck for this was I'm still on Amber Emerald Emerald Amethyst at the time, and I'm trying to change up the deck to be better into Amber Steel, and not having any luck, and Mikey's like, it's just variance, it'll swing back around, and I was like, let me try some Blurple, and I sent him a screenshot of me on Lorcanito with the a couple wins with the Blurple icon next to him, and then from there we just started swapping deck lists and stuff, and yeah, it's.
Yeah, so again, like still being pretty new to the deck and to the archetype, but again, like fantastic showing. Obviously, 7-0 in Swiss is not that's not only is not easy to do, but it's not something that a lot of people do too often, especially at a major event.
Yeah, because the guy wanted to play him for the bounty in the last round.
Yeah, dude. So one, I mean, anyone that knows me from the South Florida community knows I hate splitting, I hate IDing, I hate chopping, I hate any of that. I'm here to play Lorcana. I want to play. I want to win. So I will ID under two circumstances for the most part. One, I know I'm already locked for first, and IDing, doesn't matter, right? It'll put me in first no matter what.
Yep.
Or I know that I am contingent on getting a ride home from someone, and it's going to be a super expensive Uber, and I'm way down south. Yeah, I'll ID so we can end the night early because my buddy doesn't want to sit around for a long rest of top 8.
Shout out to Dylan there.
Yeah. Love you, Dylan. But so unless it's one of those two things, I am not gonna ever ID. So coming into round 7, I'm 6-0, Mark's 6-0, and we haven't even had pairings go out yet. But I know we're the only undefeated, so it's going to be us matched up, right? I go up to him and I just go, "Hey, just so you know, I'm not really interested in IDing unless it locks me for first, because I'm so used to everybody being like, yeah, let's ID and just lock in our spots, right? Like." It's the easy thing to do. You go get a lunch break. You know what I mean? It's been a long day. Everybody wants a break. But he looks at me and he's like, no, I don't want to chop. You have a bounty on your head. Why would I chop? or why would I ID? You know what I mean? I'm coming for that box. And I was like, oh, perfect. This is exactly what I want to hear. And now I'm going to start telling SSG, they got to always put a bounty on my head. Never don't put a bounty on my head. Because if it encourages people to not want to ID with me, that's great, because then I get to just keep playing, getting more wins.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
It's interesting because he had gotten paired down the round before, so he had to play his round 6, where at undefeated you could draw into top 8 at that point. So because he got paired down and won, at that point you really don't have a whole lot to lose to play for seeding, because end of the day, you're making top 8 whether you win or lose. You're just going to have a different placing. So from his perspective, I completely agree. You might as well play and try to get that box.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again though, yeah. So obviously Swiss went pretty swimmingly for you.
Yeah.
And then your top 8 run, you played Roger, who was on Jafar, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were all discussing that matchup going in because, at that point, everybody knew I was on Blurple. Everybody knew he was on Jafar because it's like the most wild. What the hell are these two guys doing in top 8 with these lists? Like, so let alone being like, the two ones that end up facing off against each other too. So it was just wild. And, no one's really sure how that matchup's going to go because I'm like, well, I've never played into Jafar Wheel on Blurple. I haven't played into Jafar Wheel much at all, right? Like on any deck, but definitely not on Blurple. And I'm hoping he also doesn't have any experience on the matchup either. So we're both just going to be kind of winging it.
Oh yeah.
The whole time.
But I saw that curve game 1 against him. You just God curved him into like turn 1 drop, Tipo. I think it was either Genie or Rabbit turn 3 into Elsa to kill whatever you had out, or Donald, I think. And you're just like, he's never coming back at that point.
Oh, yeah.
No, well, I also just, unfortunately for him in that matchup, like, every single time that he put down a little Jafar, be it the Dreadnought or the Evasive Challenger one, I had a way to deal with it, whether it was Elsa tapping it down. There's a moment when I did the Elsa tap down and Genie swing into the Dreadnought to clear it, and I messed up putting 2 damage on each of them instead of 3 because just so used to doing that to Genies and not Dreadnought Jafars. But there are other 4 health characters in the game, turns out. So
I even said it. I think I was like, that's got to be muscle memory.
Yeah, I mean, literally. And luckily, watching back the stream, like, it never mattered because one of them gets stormed and the other one, the bell damage, moves it away. But yeah, so he could just never stick one of the tiny Jafars. Even the one time that there was one where he plays one and I was like, I don't have an answer to deal with that. Immediately drew a bell off the top. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That'll deal with it. And we just moved the damage. So he just never got to shift. And then every single time he hard casted the Jafar, I had the Hades waiting for it because I literally both games had a Hades, I believe, from the opener, if not very early on, that I was just like, yep, this is the Jafar Hades. We hold this until he plays that, and then
until he actually gets to 7 because you're already at like 12.
Yeah, exactly. So man, it was brutal. And then poor Roger missed a 1-drop in both games too. So it's like I'm having like the God curve, and he's like not having.
He's
the
fighting.
God curve.
He's like, I'm fighting for my life out here, and you're just like, I'm at 5 ink before you're anywhere.
Yeah. So
lucky for him, I think this probably had some. I mean, I didn't talk to him throughout the day, but you can mask that Jafar deck as a normal purple steel tempo deck right now.
Oh, easily,
so if they don't anticipate you on the Jafar and they don't know what you're doing until you've already done your thing, you can get a lot of people. But
exactly.
Later in the day, everybody knew what he was on, and that's when he was handed most of his losses.
Yep.
So there's a lot of a surprise factor to that, I think, as well. But yeah, no, I think you played it well, Jack. In your top 8 match.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, having the knowledge of going into it, knowing it was a Jafar wheel deck too, was like even just from the get go, right? Like mulliganing, knowing that, like that was, I think, a big factor as well.
Yeah, for sure. Was it a 2-0? It was a 2-0 too, right? Right? So just having just a little bit of Jafar wheel experience, even if it's not a lot. I mean, like, I don't think many of us truthfully have played against Jafar wheels. I haven't played against a Jafar wheel like in a legitimate tournament.
For me,
probably
it's been a set
3 probably. I played it in Toronto side event.
Toronto, yeah.
I was testing it for Toronto, and then I played it in the Toronto side event. I'm like, God, this deck is terrible. But I actually played against it. I played against it in Atlanta, I think, and that was, I think, the last time I played against it, like in like a legitimate tournament. So like, yeah, but like even just having just like a little bit of experience on it, because like no one has experience into Blurple. They should at this point because everyone plays it, but people just don't. Blurple's like
and lo and behold, look, the one opponent that was finally able to take me down, tons of experience into Blurple.
It's funny because in our group chat, Mikey was like, if Joey loses to Jack, we're taking his jersey away. And then I always joke around with anytime I ever see Blurple at a tournament, I'm always like, this is unfortunate for you because I have the best purple cactus in the world.
Yep.
And like
the amount of reps we have into it are ungodly.
And I think I'm undefeated against it. Like in like legit, like against like outside of like testing against with Mike and stuff, like against like other people, like it's not even just because I have so much practice against it, like with like multiple.
And you're
different
on
decks.
green steel.
Also true, like it's also true, like I can barely have to do anything nine times out of 10. But like anyway, but like besides the point. So again, like so top 8 went pretty good for you, and then you run into top 4 into Joey, who again you know playing unfortunately who has the best purple practice in the world. I will say it again. So how did that matchup go? How'd that matchup feel? Because I know there was some like I was like from watching it from an outside, like knowing like obviously you know how to play against Ruby Sapphire and just having less experience on the deck. Maybe it would have changed how you did, or maybe like you want to rebound watch the VODs. There was one instance probably that my big question would be was game 1.
Oh man.
Was
people have a lot of questions.
Yeah. Well, so the game 1,
game.
my joke was because Brian, I don't think Brian was watching at this point, and Brian was like, "How's game 1 going?" I'm like, "Jack's ahead, but Joey's bringing this back," and I'm like, and Jack thinks his genies are rabbits. Like the continuous bouncing of the genie was probably like my big question.
I made some very questionable choices with my 4-drops in that first game for sure. Just I don't think I valued the goat enough. Playing it into the be prepared or the be prepared that I knew was coming. When that should have just been a genie. Honestly, looking back at it, like there's a turn where I do some of I think like the goofiest moves that I did in all day. You know that had people like really just being like, what the hell is this guy doing? Where I'm like chaining like snakes into foxes to just quest for 1 and just keep my board like Sisu proof for forever. And it's because there's a moment where my hand is genie, snake, fox, Hades, and in my head I'm like, I don't want to just, and I'm on 8 ink, right? So I could have done that's like the turn when I believe like Mikey's like, he's probably just going to slam down 2 genies here. And that was like, I think a big consideration because it's like, I just put those down. I get 2 cards out of it, right? They immediately replace themselves. And yeah, they're going to get CC'd because I know he's got a CC because I had a Hiram on the side of his board for the entire game that's drawn him, I don't know, probably 12 cards by that point or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. So, I knew like he had the removal and I could have just played the genies into it, drawn the cards, and then tried to goat cycle my way to victory from there. But I don't know, it was so late at that point, and my brain was like, I'm just, we'll just keep never allowing him to use the Sisu, you know what I mean? And not just being efficient with our bounces and stuff,
I think you even said it right after the match, and I saw it in the 20 lore. You mentioned that, my approach with Ruby Sapphire is trying to go under it. And that'll work against someone who's unfamiliar with the matchup for sure.
Oh, absolutely,
They're freaking out. They don't ramp. They start playing the board instead. Where Joey's just like, okay, my Flower Sham's going to draw 8 cards here, and I'll draw into the stuff I need, and that's how that matchup can go. And that's why some people do struggle with it. But you said it immediately. Like, I was trying to kind of play it probably too much like I did as Emerald Amethyst.
Exactly.
Now that I know what to do, it'll be a lot better into the.
I'm not gonna lie. Halfway through that game, I kept thinking, I was just like, Mikey wouldn't do this. Mikey wouldn't do that. Okay.
That was my one edge, was not playing like how Mikey would play it. So that you didn't know every move I was going to make.
Exactly.
But no, switching from Emerald Amethyst to Sapphire Amethyst has definitely been a very sort of strange change, because it's like 40 cards probably are the same or something, because of all of this like amazing stuff from the purple package. But the other cards within it, including some of the purple cards, right? Like, it's not all the same purple cards. There's a lot of them that do transfer over, but and then of course all the blue cards instead of the green cards. Like, it just, the deck plays so differently, right? Like, and your flows are so differently. Even the same card has different uses within the different decks, right? And so the lines have blurred for me a lot, I think, as I'm like trying to learn this matchup, just because there is so many cards that overlap, where I'm initially thinking, oh, I use this card like I used it in Emerald Amethyst, and then realizing, no, in Sapphire Amethyst, this is actually a completely different tool. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So that's been a huge learning curve, and definitely a pitfall that I've fallen into a few times, I think, while playing it sometimes. But, definitely
Hey, it took good time to learn though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A free tournament. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, going 7-0,
Yeah.
like winning your first eight rounds of Lorcana. Then you unfortunately get paired against someone who just knows everything the deck can do at all
Knows the
times.
matchup.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
good.
That's just
Yeah, because
unfortunate.
I was able to 2-0 two other red-blue opponents on my way up here, because I just kind of used a lot of those purple cards like I did in the Emerald version, and just I'm like, we just keep playing them, forcing out B preps that just draw me cards or gain me lore, while just constantly just putting more threats to the board, and trying not to ever really take challenges and let them do the challenging, and that worked really well for a bit. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of practice with that matchup specifically in the coming week, with some good players, so I'll have a whole new perspective on the Blurple versus Red Blue matchup.
Oh yeah, and it's perfect
by LCQ. Hopefully,
I was gonna say perfect timing for all of us to be in Anaheim in about a week.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be good. But again, just going over again, like just you being just newer to the deck, I just wanted to know kind of how the deck felt, like everything, like what best card, worst card, like we do, like obviously like best performer, like overperformer, underperformer.
Man.
Like what felt great, what felt like maybe I'll change this, maybe I'll change the counts.
This deck is so much fun to play when you are hitting your like God curve, like Mikey had mentioned earlier, where you're able to just go like one drop in, and this is one of the purple one drops that replaces itself, so barely even counts as playing a card because it's going to replace itself after grabbing you a couple lore or making a trade or something, into ramp, where we've got two different options that can ramp us on 2, and they're both super great because with Tipo we can declunkify our hand a little bit with, get some of those big uninkables. There were a couple games where I had like 2 7-drop Hades in my hand in the opener, and it's like, yep, Tipo's just gonna eat one of those, But then Sail also has some really nice advantages of being able to play a second 1-drop on 2 while ramping ahead, So, and then from there, we're just playing the purple stuff way too early. We drop a Genie on 3, meaning we can play Elsa on 4. So their Genie that they played at the fair time on 4 is now getting eaten by our Genie that we played on. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's such an unfair deck when you do everything correctly. But you do have to make sure to manage the board correctly, because the moment you fall behind, it's game over. You know what I mean? Like
no board wipe is
so hard to come back from this deck when you're staring at a board of like 12 lore. You don't have the one and done solutions that some other color pairings have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, again, like a great showing as well, especially for being for like picking up the deck fairly recently, and I'm sure you'll be ready to go for LCQ. Like all of us, hopefully we all can just avoid each other in LCQ, and like none of us
even be in the same pod.
Well, I know you guys don't want to see me. Brian, we'll see what Brian's on, but who knows at this point. And then, so last and certainly not least is Joey. So Joey's day started pretty good, 3-0, and then he got a nice stream match against Jonathan Williams. We know one of the top players. I told Stephanie he's one of the best players in the country, and probably legitimately true.
I mean, Jonathan Williams is a fantastic player. I've run into him at so many events. And dude, me and him are constantly like finishing events just like right next to each other, with him either right above me or me right above him.
Oh yeah.
Because he got 4th here and I got 3rd at Charlie Collectibles show. He got 10th while I got 11th. And there was Star City Games.
Yeah, I was gonna say at SCG in Tampa, I think the second day. Or the third.
Also,
the third one,
it was he was in 3rd and I was in 4th or something like that, or he got 2nd and I got 3rd. I can't remember exactly how it chopped up there, but I just know he beat me in the semifinals. So like, yeah. It's just man, what a great player. And that match against Joey was insane.
Yeah, it was crazy, especially Joey's game 2 where he like closed it out with
Game 2
Shark.
was one of my favorites.
Yeah, like I was like watching it, I was like, all right, what's he gonna do? Like he's got to end this now with, and then I was like, oh, he ended it with Shark, and Stephanie was like, my wife was like, was that good? I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good for someone who doesn't play this game that much. But then obviously, he won out, unfortunately, getting the team kill against Brian, and then just, as you heard, beating Jack in top 4, riding the wave all the way into a very hotly contested top 2 match. He unfortunately fell 2-1 to Casey. But Joey, just talk about your day. Obviously, you've played Ruby Sapphire with his fancy mattified mat. It's funny because I saw
it's so pretty.
Yep.
It's so
I saw the creator post the original or the regular one just like on Twitter, I think, and I was like, man, I'd love to buy that mat. And they're like, oh, we're not selling this mat. And then of course, Hector was working behind the scenes for the top 2 mat for it.
You find out why.
Yep. Oh yeah, exactly. So Joey, just talk about your day. Obviously, you've played Ruby Sapphire. Almost probably
all the way since set 2.
Since set 2, yeah, you've played Ruby Sapphire as long as I've played Emerald Steel.
Exactly.
So I guess you had your small was it Emerald Sapphire sabbatical?
Yeah.
At TCG Con. Just talk about your day, like how the deck felt. The big question mark for me was the no dime. Which I think Dimeless and only 2 Tamato, which I know a lot of people have questioned that one for sure. But obviously it worked, especially in how many mirrors? How many mirrors did you play? You only played
3.
1. You played 3. Okay, so you only lost to Jonathan.
Yep. Okay. So I only lost 5 games all day.
And he lost to Jonathan, but Jonathan won the die roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is super relevant. I would really like to know what would have happened if Joey won that.
Yeah, I agree there too. Just tell us about it.
Yeah. My day was kind of crazy. Felt very like possessed run. Like it just felt like insane. I snake eyes 3 times. So I was playing on the draw like most of the day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I only lost 5 games all day. 2 to Jonathan, 2 to Casey, and 1 to who was it? I think Dylan in top 8. And so the day was just insane. Started off against a green steel deck. Was not expecting to see that whatsoever. Was able to just take care of it pretty easily. He seemed like a little bit of a newer player to Larcana. Experienced TCG player, but just a little bit newer. Round 2, I went into a Ruby Amber deck that was kind of cool. Played some Plutos, played some ramp, just played a bunch of good red cards with Amber ramp. Dealt very well with that. Be Prepared just did a lot of work. Got into round 3 going into Jonathan Williams. We talked about that match. It's just I didn't put him on the Medusa's dime. Got in game 1. Was able to pull out game 2 pretty crazily, and then game 3 just couldn't find the correct set of cards to close it out, and just wasn't able to clear his board there at the end. He had a really sick sequencing with killing my Shark and hideawaying the Vitalosphere.
To add to that, though, on that game 3, I was watching behind Jonathan Williams, and his hand was like a hideaway. I think like a little Sisu. He was dead.
He was dead in the water.
He was dead.
Yeah, dead in the water.
If he didn't
Joey
get the dragon,
had the Shark out, and he top decked the
dragon.
Maleficent Dragon.
Yeah.
And after the fact, he even said it himself. He's like, I had a hand of nothing.
And it was cool because like he was awesome. Like talking with him throughout the day afterwards. Like he kept picking my brain about my list because he's obviously working for Continentals and stuff. But like my issue with that game 3, looking back on it and just remembering what happened, was I had put him on dime to win because he had a Tamato, a Tipo, and a Maleficent, or Tamato and Tipo out, and I was like, dime kills me. So I was trying to play around it in a way where I played Shark, played Pirate's Life to gain some lore to just try to bridge the gap and then mitigate some of his lore. But in reality, dime kills me either way, so I should have been playing a little bit more proactively. I could have played a Grammatala, I could have played something else. I had the Vitalosphere and the Maui Shark in hand still. So if I don't reveal those, and then he goes and quests to try to close out to like 19 or something like that, and doesn't have dime, I can blow him out of the water with a Vitalosphere Shark and get back the play Pirate's Life, get back Pirate's Life, do all that. So looking back, that was a little bit of a sequencing thing, but I know for next time. Next round,
it's one of the best parts about losing.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, especially on stream too. So I was able to rewatch the matches.
My God.
Mikey's commentary was great. Like
I was just about to say that was one of the best things about the tournament for me.
Oh yeah,
dude. Like, could not imagine something better than when you're trying to learn a deck, having one of the best players for that deck watching your games on stream and critiquing. Like, yeah, literally, Mikey talked to me afterwards. I really hope I wasn't too harsh, you know? And I'm like, dude, no, it was amazing. It's exactly what I need. You know what I mean? Like, I want really good feedback, and getting it from a great player during a live game is like one of the best ways to do it. It's insane.
And then after that match, went into an Amber Steel matchup. She was playing super traditional Steel songs, and she was just super unfortunate. I lost the die roll. She played 3 aerials and bricked on all 3.
Oh yeah, that's.
And I went ramp, Sisu, big Sisu, just close the game out. I felt bad, but like I was like, thank God this was right after losing to Jonathan, so I could reset.
Yeah.
And then following match went into Colby. So definitely nervous into that matchup.
Yeah, that's another tough opponent.
Exactly, and he's
don't give away.
No, I'm not going to say anything what he was playing.
Okay.
Now.
All right.
My point was he's testing a lot of different stuff out for Continentals, and a lot of the things that he was playing was really interesting and cool, giving me a bunch of thought for some different deck changes that I might take into the future.
Yeah.
But he was talking because he was undefeated at the time, and he was like, I don't know how the mirror goes. I've never played the mirror. Like with this variant that he was playing. It was awesome. It was
he
a great
ran
match.
up to me round 2. Like pulled me aside. He's like, dude, look what I'm playing today. And showed me the list, and I was like, I don't even know what half these cards do.
Oh my God.
No, dude, his list was
awesome.
really, really cool, and getting to see it in action was wild. But I think his list is not out there because only the top 8 was released. So you guys will have to wait to see the sauce when Colby makes his name known in Continentals.
Oh yeah.
And then followed up with another mirror. Lost the die roll again. And then but this was probably my favorite match of the day because he was on like a probably set 5-ish version of Red Blue, and then threw in a couple sharks. But like watching him play, he wasn't not respecting, but he wasn't valuing some of the cards as they should. He was inking sharks and stuff like that, like mid to late game, that I was like, this doesn't seem like you need to be doing it. But he was playing Fishbone Quill and stuff like that. But I finished that. I beat the mirror 2-0 in 12 minutes. And I was like, what just happened? Because at that point, Mikey, your dad went and got food. I was able to like sit down, relax, enjoy like a little bit of a break because most of my games all day had been going very long.
Oh yeah.
And then
meanwhile, I'm struggling uphill against Colby in that round.
Exactly. I think I finished my round and I look up and I see Colby's laughing about something in your match, and I was like, whenever someone's laughing, it's going good for them and not good for the other guy. But
I don't know. That depends.
He was laughing. He was laughing because he ran into really bad luck with the. He turned a Hiram. He could have just choked me out in like 1 and 2 turns, and he went for the kill. And I had nothing in hand, a goat on board, and he turns his Hiram sideways, which is the only thing he had. Like a big Sisu, Hiram, I think Tala, and Maui, and or no, not Maui. Yeah, Maui with like 3 damage on it, and then so I top deck a Go-Go, and I was at 17 lore, so it had to have been Hiram. So I top decked it. And
So you swung the goat into the harem and played.
Yeah,
Goated
I'm gonna play this.
Wow.
That's insane.
However, I was like, damn, that was really. And we both like, he started laughing. He's like, dude, that was so dirty, and we like kind of like chuckle back and forth. But then I flipped the next card, and the next card, it wasn't my only out. The next card was a fox, and I had enough ink to quest bounce.
Play.
Yeah, so it wasn't all bad, but like I was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that one. He was chuckling about it, but sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joey.
No, and then last round, obviously going into you. For what was weird, because in my testing prior to this iteration, the deck list that I put out or took to the tournament, I've had really bad struggles into green purple. And then obviously, Jack, you've jumped off it. Brian's on the fence about it, and then Hector was able to coach me up on a couple things that he was pushing out through his testing. And I never took the line that this was thought of, which was just ramp into a shark, and it just stalled the board out. And my God.
What about our conversation at Flanagan?
Oh, trust me, I know. I've never run it.
It also doesn't help that the very night before, Friday night, we were play testing at Mikey's house, and I was like, oh yeah, what do you think about this list and these two cards? And so, whatever, we knew each other's deck list. Not that it mattered, but
but it was like an insane set of draws, whereas like he would redevelop it after, and then I would like drop Sisu and just wipe everything. And like, I think multiple times I had double ice block at one point. And you'd like play a four cost, and you're just like, oh,
gross.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. I think we were done.
You guys were done in like 15 minutes. I got the message. I was like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah. So bittersweet, but definitely like gave me a pump in my sail, because I was not expecting it to go that way. Because the other person that I thought I was going to pair into is Alex Blair, who's also on GP.
Oh man, and he's such a good player too.
Exactly, and so like I was super worried about that matchup, and like debating whether we should just chop, but like we were in bad position, and then ultimately it could have worked. But beside the point.
Kudos to you guys. Kudos to you guys for taking the honorable route as well.
Yeah.
Someone else did. They drew after the matches started, but you guys could have done the same, and you didn't do that. So kudos to you.
Yep.
Yeah. And then top 8 played into the previous case winner, Dylan, on Purple Steel, and those matches were insane. Like, he's such a good player, so patient, and like, but the games that I won were absolutely just insane. It was ice block start all 3 games, into a Tipo, into a Sisu, into a Hiram, into a big Sisu, and it was just like every time he would try to go wide, this board was wiped. And then like late game, he would like play 3 or 4 more things, and I had 2 ice blocks out, and I would just be like, ice block,
Sisu.
wipe your board again. And I was just like, bro, I'm sorry, because one of the times, I think
Gonna make him put Aladdin back in.
Exactly. I think it was game 3. I was like, man, this is a really awkward hand. And then I top deck another ice block, and I was like, ice block, Sisu. Game? And I was like, whoa. I was like, not expecting this matchup to go this way. And it was just like crazy. But like Dylan, insane player. He was on the pod last time after the case tournament. Like, he knew that it was a bad matchup as well. Like, Maui Shark shuts down that deck so hard. Like, he's used 2 of them, like, and that's like what you have to do. But it's just such an oppressive card in some matchups, especially the purple ones. And then into Jack's matchup, one of the big things that I had done in that matchup, because it was the first round that was untimed, which is not normal for me, but like I just like slowed down to a snail's pace.
Jack did not do that.
Jack definitely did not do that.
Because you're against me, so you were just like, oh man, I gotta remember to go slow, because
I know Jack's going a million miles an hour. Just
and I think the comment in chat was, it was like, Jack's giving me carpal tunnel, and then like towards the end
was a good one.
Towards the end of game 1, I think you were like tanking, and like to see Jack tank, like that's like a thing. Like it's like that's a rare sight. And then someone was like, "Oh, Jack has slowed down."
And I think even Mikey commented about it. He's like, you can actually see his cards. But yeah, dude, it's just some of those turns were so difficult. And
and like the fact that like just knowing the matchup inside and out, like the amount of like in my mulligan decisions, like me and Mikey go back and forth about this, or not back and forth. It's just like a known fact that Ice Block is like the just destroyer of Blurple,
Yep,
and
it's very good.
and
And
so I
also
just
brawls are quite good when you have said ice block.
Yep.
And
no for sure.
game 1, you found 3 brawls in like the top 10 cards of your deck.
Yep.
I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. Everything I played was just getting roasted.
Well, and
But to be
that's
fair,
the
he also
other
drew
thing
like
about
he also drew like 12 cards with that first hero.
yeah, no, I mean that Hiram did way too much work, and looking back at it, I definitely needed to focus harder on getting rid of it. Again, I was just like so focused on my strategy that had gotten me the previous red blue wins
Iterations,
earlier
yeah.
that day of just turbo. You know what I mean? Don't waste time trading. Just quest.
It was close.
It was-
I mean,
it was
look
very
at how
close.
you got. Honestly,
Yeah.
even if you bounce goat instead of
Yeah.
I think it was Hades or something later on in the game.
Well, if I just play genie instead of the goat, I think there with that last 4 ink
and
on the
kept
last
goat in
turn.
hand and not
Yeah,
be
exactly. Then I end up
drawing
drawing like a bunch
Yeah,
of snakes
yeah.
and goat or snakes and foxes.
Oh, and yeah, because I think you got to 18 at one point, so it's just like.
Yeah, and there was
obviously
multiple
the
times too where I
Parasite
put you in
were
check
crazy.
with like the big Elsas, but you just kept having more dragons too by that point. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
they
you
were
just-
in the hand the
They
whole
were in the
time.
hand. They were in the hand. They were at the
Yeah.
very beginning.
Yeah, watching the stream back, I was like looking at it, I was just like, oh my god, those dragons just cooking there for so
Yeah.
long, waiting for the right moment to just come down and ruin my day.
But
Oh, yeah.
probably my favorite comment
So
of the
good.
whole match was just you constantly going, "Man, there's a dime coming.
Dime, yep,
I'm dead to
yeah,
dime. Oh,
dude.
dime. I was like,
The fucking
"There's no
look on
dime,
my
Jack."
face at the end when you told me there was no dime, I'm sure I must have just been so.
Oh, it was
'Cause, dude,
awesome.
I had no idea. I had, dude, I was so like jam-packed busy that whole day because literally playing all 7 rounds, bathroom breaks, talking to like a million different people in between. Like there was just, I never like had a free moment. So I wasn't doing as much like scouting as I normally do at a lot of tournaments of like walking around and trying to see what everybody's on, who's got the spice, I had no idea Joey had no dimes.
Oh my gosh.
I just assumed there was at least still one in there.
Yeah,
You know what I
it was
mean?
awesome.
Like,
And kept referring to it in game 2. It was the funniest thing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew until the final match. I said it on stream. I was like,
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it was.
I think the only
crazy.
person that knew was Jonathan.
Because there were
we
literally
talking about
there were a
it the
couple
other
turns
day.
there where I'm like, okay, he has dime and I'm dead. I can't get rid of the Sisu, or like he had 2 Sisus. Even if I get rid of one, he quests the other one dimes. And so I was just like, all right, give it to I thought I lost that game like 3 turns in a row, but he just didn't have
And
dime.
I think Mikey said it best on stream. At no point in most of my matches all day long, there's never been a good moment to play dime in this format, in this meta. Like you don't have that breathing room because of how fast everything is.
Yep.
And so like finding that navigation, like 2 or 3 sets ago, like you could just be like, okay, like I'm at 7 ink, I'm just gonna drop it here. They're gonna gain like 5 more lore, and then I'll be prepared, and then the game's reset and I have a dime sitting on board. And it's just like I don't feel like I have that luxury anymore. And especially the way that I've built the deck. I lean so heavily into the shark build.
Yep.
and less on the Tomatos and stuff.
Turning those how far all goes, those visions, and gaining lore off of those. Like I was talking with Jonathan about it midway through the day, and he's just like, "You're on 4 how far I'll go." He's like, "I'm like, yeah, it's like one of the best cards in the entire deck." He's like, "I'm on 2." I was like, "Nah, not a chance." Every time I'm playing a Maui Shark, that's
Dude,
getting
yeah,
how
that
far I'll
card
go back.
terrifies me.
Well, it's just because it cycles through your deck. It allows you
Yeah,
to do
I mean,
massive turns late in the game. You're not having to ink out of your hand. You're gaining information. Like there's just so many benefits to the card. And yeah, it was a great matchup.
I will say
between
one
you
other
and I.
thing with cutting the dime that it kind of another point for it is since red blue is kind of cut Quill now, it's one less way to like declunk that hand if you have the dime like super early. Like you can't sail the dime. You know what I mean?
No.
If you have dime
Tipo.
stuck in your hand, it's stuck in your hand until you can play it because
You can play it with
even how
Tipo.
far I'll go. You have Tipo still too, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I forgot.
But also,
Yeah.
most people are
That's-
only
that's
playing.
true,
but
but-
most people are only playing 1 dime, and it's basically a win con. So like,
Yeah.
if you get it in your
So you
hand,
don't even want to ink
Yeah,
it
you
there.
can't even
Yeah.
ink
Yeah, there are 0 unknowable cards in the deck right now, which is one of my favorite things. like not playing one jump ahead anymore. Like you know every card you're seeing.
Every card that
every
goes into the inkwell, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing mystery. So like you know
I will
exactly
say I've
everything.
been loving Donald in Blurple, but that is one thing.
To go to your list, that's why I love the threes of Elsa and Hades, because there's so many games where you have to play the Tipo on one of your big threats and put it away, and you're like, okay, I only have one more of these in my deck, and if your Donald hits your Hades against red blue, you probably just lost.
Yep.
Like if you Tipo one and Donald hits the other, that's it.
Yeah.
You just lose the game if you only had two. So having three, I think, is super relevant because you really only need to see one, right? Once you see the one, it's like, all right, I'm going to bounce it and use it 1,000 times. So, look.
And then there were a couple times, too, where I was able to just drop a second Elsa and stuff, especially later in the day, because I think... Like, it's so weird because I'm so new at this deck. You can actively see me, like, learning throughout the day where, like, I think I made some better plays in later matches on stream than I did in earlier matches where I'm, like, being a little greedier with value and stuff. And then in later matches being like, wait, I'm just going to have two Elsas out. Like, instead of, trying to value keep and, like, just keep recycling the one, let's just throw down the second one I have in my hand. And sure, I'm, potentially exposing them to both getting removed or something, but I'm also threatening a crap ton of lore. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
And also to comment on like you respecting Ruby Sapphire, like assuming that he does have the dime. God forbid you ever go into that matchup and you're like, no, he doesn't have it.
Yeah,
and then that's right. Like
then you get
majority, So but you not knowing.
There's nothing you can do with that with Blurple. Like you just have to keep pressuring the board to never give them the chance to set that time up. Because if they do, you have to punish them with 4 or 5 lore the following turn.
You can't ever give them the turn where they can say, "Hey, I can play a dime right now." You have to always just be presenting the next threat.
Yep.
And then on that topic of dime, the reason I don't have it the fact that I don't have it in the list, I was starting to look at it. And I'm like, Tamatoa doesn't feel like that great of a card without that instant lore gain of dime. And so I was like, again, same conversation of when do I have the luxury of dropping an 8-drop? Like
an 8-drop that almost doesn't do anything when you play him, right? Like he grabs you the popsicle sometimes,
so you draw one card.
And
like segueing that into the last match in the finals, going up against Casey on red purple, it literally happened, I think, in game 2. Where he B-prepped, I dropped a Tamatoa, he played a Lady Tremaine, and like it's just what do I do in that situation? It's just it feels so bad. You got a popsicle, so like sure you're redrawing, but like not having
you just paid 9 mana to draw one though. And,
correct. Affected nothing. So like and then I was just like the item counts are low. Like what's the obviously he's just wins a game on the spot. He eats removal, which I'm trying to avoid for Maui Shark and stuff like that. So, but yeah, going into the finals, red purple, I like the matchup. Obviously, being on the draw is
that's
probably brutal, dude. But like, I think that game 1 shows the power of the deck that I've built. Like that Flynn got 9 lore. And I wasn't able to deal with it for so many turns, but was still able to crawl. I loved watching the stream back, reading the comments because they're just like, "Game's done, game's over." Like he's at 17, and I'm like, bro, this game doesn't end for like another 15 minutes, and I win, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like your comments on it were great, and then game 2 on the play or on the draw again, just. Flynn just absolutely mopped me up. I couldn't find the brawl in time, and that's the game with red purple is like trying to keep them underneath that 13 point, and that's what I need purple deck. Keep you under that 13 point lore where they can just go bounce you to death.
Yep.
Obviously, Pirate's Life is the godsend in this new list, but so many people are playing. So many people play around it, which like that's what you expect at these top tables. Like you're expecting people like Jack to bounce stuff up, to keep stuff ready, to not allow you to get stuff going. Jonathan did it to me early in round 3 with the killing the Vitalosphere. So like just nothing is able to Maui Shark in.
Oh my god!
the
just
hideaway on
quick,
it.
That when he hit the hideaway on that Vitalosphere, that literally like you went from having a pretty good chance to stabilize there to literally dead.
As
It
soon
was
as
the most
he did
insane
it, I
swing.
said I think I lost because he played around that so
Yeah.
geniusly.
Yeah.
Like I had a Tamatoa in hand, and I could have played it and got the Vitalosphere back, but 2 + 5 = 7, and Tamatoa has 8 health, and I was just like, damn it. Because I had the shark in hand. But
Yeah.
regardless.
Bro, playing games against people of that caliber is just so much fun in this game.
Yep.
Oh,
It's such a high.
insane.
It's such a high.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's just so valuable
then-
too, because
Especially when you come out on top, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's. But yeah, man, congratulations again, Joey. We were super stoked for you.
Yeah.
I wanted to
really
comment
great.
real quick on game 3 though, my brick, because it was
Yeah.
very
Painful.
it was super easily avoidable. So Mikey comments on in the stream where it's like, it's turn 2, what are you tanking for? And I have 4 uninkables in my hand. I have another popsicle in hand. I had just played one on around turn 1. And I'm tanking because I'm like, there's 11 uninkables left in my deck. There's 51 cards left. And I'm like, odds are, I'm like doing math computations at 12:30 at night after 12 hours of playing. And I'm just like, it's favorable. This should work. I should play a popsicle, find an inkable, ink it, go to the next turn, draw another uninkable, play brawl, and like we're off to the races, right? I have 2 popsicles out for the Hiram that's in my hand, and we're good to go. And I couldn't ink the brawl that was in my hand because that's a death sentence
Especially in that matchup.
in that spot because I didn't have ramp on 2. And so if I just simply ink that popsicle,
Pass.
play the ice block and
Oh, yeah.
pass, I can then still draw that uninkable that I did, ink the Hiram like I do, play the brawl, top deck the following card, which is a Vitalosphere, ink the Vitalosphere, play the How Far I'll Go, and like
It's off to the races.
the proof was in the pudding. I almost turned that game around while missing an ink and just not doing anything for a turn and a half. So I really kick myself for that, but I honestly, the math was in my favor, and I feel like it was the winning play, but it just literally railroaded the whole game.
That's actually one of I feel like the most difficult things about getting better at card games is taking moments like that and being like, I made the correct move and didn't win, right? Because when you can assess the situation correctly like that, it means that going forward, you're still going to make the correct move and then you should win off that, right? Because if you take this one anomalous situation where you did the favorable thing and the math wasn't in your, it didn't end up being in your favor because the odds just, weren't with you that day, then you end up making worse decisions for yourself because you're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Move on and go, oh, okay, well now I'm never gonna do, so I don't know.
Well, and I think the other worst part about that decision too was in the mulligan, I also tanked on because I decided to keep a How Far I'll Go, a Hiram, a Brawl, and an Ice Block. Because in game 2, one of the biggest things that I missed, I had 2 3-drop Sisus for 6 turns, and I couldn't use them because I didn't have the ice block to hit the Flint. And so I'm like, all right, I need this ice block because it's just going to be useful throughout the game. And I most likely will see a Brawl or a Sisu coming back. And then I draw, literally the first draw off the mulligan was the second ice block. The second draw was a second How Far I'll Go. And I just wanted to cry as soon as I was looking at my cards. And I'm just
that's
this
just
is not...
That was brutal.
And so then I'm like, all right, math, all my uninkables are in my hand. I should be able to start drawing inkables. And it's just,
I mean, you have to be proud of yourself, though. I mean,
I am.
This is your highest placing, right? In a tournament.
In a large tournament,
Yeah, that's super cool. You played super well. You got to see. You didn't just happen to get in second place, right? You played super well on Saturday, so you should be super proud. I do want to point out one play that John did against you.
Oh yeah, talks about this a lot.
Oh yes, that was insane.
I just couldn't believe that he did that. I was just stunned when you didn't ramp on 2 and he just played Great Stone Dragon and passed with 2 Flavershams in hand. Like, he had ink. He could have inked and done that, but he's like, well, I'm going to keep the ink advantage anyway. What's the point of losing one of these Flavershams if I can draw a
Yeah, because his hand at the time was 2 Flavershams and 2 Tamatoas. And he's like, well, I need both Tamatoas and both Flavershams to continue to be in the position I want to be in this game.
I think he inked the Hiram anyways.
He might have, but the thing is, with the Stone Dragon, he's kind of like, well, I'm going to get ahead of him with ink anyway, so who cares?
And then I said it in our group chat. I was like, oh, he just went GSD pass, and then Joey instantly brawled the next turn, and you gave him an ink. Like, again, it was a play you had to make. It wasn't like, it wasn't like it was a play that was avoidable, that you were trying to like metagame it, but it was just like, it was exactly... You played into his hand, into his thought process like perfectly, and it wasn't even you didn't even do the wrong play. It was just that's just what happened.
Well, and I think in that exact same game, in that moment as well, one of my favorite things that you guys were talking about on stream, you're just like, these are two people that know these decks inside and out and are going so fast. It was just like, it's just rapid fire back and forth for like the first 5 turns. And then it's just like, all right, now we get to the mid game, late game. Now we're starting to tank. Now we're looking at graveyards. Like, I always felt good about that, like, because I know the matchup because I've been playing it for almost a year and a half.
I typically hate watching that. Ruby Sapphire mirror. Those matches were really, really good.
And I think like what you said too is when you're watching high caliber players play with like really smart, like intricate moves, like you're not making the mistakes which are being punished. Like you're actually seeing how the decks are supposed to be piloted and stuff like that, which is always fun for the viewers.
Oh yeah, definitely. But
you
again,
got a mat, bro. You got a mat.
You got the mat. Yeah, exactly.
And a stitch.
And a stitch. And a stitch. And a case. Exactly. I got a lot.
Yeah.
Got a lot
half
for
a
sure.
case.
Oh yeah.
And a bounty.
So a little more than half a case because he got the extra box from me.
Oh my gosh! But again, though,
what a fun event.
Huge shout outs. Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously you would have liked to let it go, but it was still a fantastic performance. Nonetheless, I mean, slightly better.
Now all of Freedom Gaming does have a Let It Go,
except for me.
Matt.
Mine's just a Matt.
yeah. But a Let It Go, Matt.
I should have a Let It Go, but numbers. It's okay.
Oh, you don't have one? I thought you had one.
No, I didn't get one. They didn't go that high in Toronto.
Oh, that's right.
I'm the only one that does. I should have. That's why I always tell everyone like I top 128 in DLC, and I got nothing for
that
it.
Guy.
I have the stream.
Well, boo Mikey, because he's out here slandering
me.
Slandering Joey, saying he's the only Freedom Gaming member without a Let It Go.
No.
But...
Take his jersey away.
I tell everyone. I tell everyone I got top 128 DLC. They're like, cool. You gotta let it go. I'm like. Nope.
That's right,
I was at the one. I was at the one that didn't.
That is so.
I got
realize.
I got 112th in Toronto. I think it was. But I got the stream. I got the stream match though. So worse.
Was that just because it was a 1,000 player cap instead of?
It was a lower cap. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only reason why.
Damn.
So yeah, it was unfortunate for me, but whatever. It's okay. It's okay. It was fun. It was a fun day.
So yeah, for anybody watching next SSG Southside Gaming tournament, make sure you guys attend. Come on down, drive, fly, magic carpet.
Yes.
Whole new world.
February 8th.
Out for these guys at the Continentals as well.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
They're all going to make it past their LCQ.
Yeah, we may or may not have a pod before then.
Yeah, maybe we do a pod on Thursday when we all get in.
That'd be cool.
Maybe we do a live pod. Actually, maybe we do a live pod from the hotel room. Or maybe we do some. I don't know if we want to show too much testing. Maybe we'll play some. Maybe we'll play some starter deck or pack rush or something. Maybe we just pack rush on stream and answer questions. Maybe we'll do something like that.
Pack rush is a nice way to have some fun and not show off your secret tech.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
We'll do something.
Actually, yes. So yeah, definitely. Like if you're going, so hopefully. Yeah, I don't know if we'll get one out before at least recorded, but definitely we will be in Anaheim Continentals. It'll be myself, Brian, and Mike. Obviously, Jack will be there representing Southside Gaming, but again, a friend of the team, along with Hector and is anyone else going from South Florida?
Oh yeah, dude. We have a whole squad from SSG coming because I believe
actual players. I think it's just you and Hector.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So as far as so Kylie's going to be there. Danny's going to be there, but I believe they're just
vending, right?
on the wait list right now.
They're
And then Kamal, I believe, is in the LCQ as well.
Nice.
I didn't know.
So yeah, I believe I have to double check because I know he's coming with us and you know.
Well, in other news, they're the main vendor as well at the.
Yes, also that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have like there's going to be so much SSG folk up there.
We love it.
Have a spot to go hang out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'll definitely be the table where we're all coming to talk about our results after each round.
Yeah, absolutely.
Final countdown has officially started.
Yeah.
I believe we are 10 days out now.
Oh my god!
It is now New Year's Eve.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Oh my god!
Little late.
It is now New Year's Eve. So by the time this drops, New Year's Day, I think.
Yep. It'll
Happy New Year's to everybody.
Happy New Year's to everyone.
Listening.
Yeah, 2025. Let's go.
Before we close it off, though, Jack, is there anything you want to shout out, like stuff like that?
I mean, really just SSG throwing such an insane event, being such a great sponsor, and such a great community. Love my team over there, and shouts out to you guys for
any socials we could pump for you.
Yeah, I guess I literally like just today I think reactivated my Twitter and stuff.
Nice.
Updated your bio.
Yeah, tried to modernize it. It said 29 in there. Now it says 31. It's been 2 years since I looked at Twitter, I guess.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I just today because like I think Gabe wanted to tag me in something and he was like, "What's your thing?" And I was like, "I don't use it." And then Ray shamed me and I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it." So yeah, SSG_Ghosty.
We'll have it in the Twitter we'll have it in the comments too, or in the description.
Can find me on there, and I also just join the South Florida Lorcana Network Discord. We are always getting into some crazy stuff over there, doing like community days with special events and keeping up to date with all the latest news and card reveals when it's new card season and. All local events too. If you're actually like down here in South Florida, you absolutely have to get in here because we've got a calendar that updates with all the set championships and stuff. Like
there's almost a local every day, honestly, at this point.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the local calendar is ridiculously stacked. Like every single day, there is probably 2 shops that you could show up to, depending on how far south or north you want to go.
Yeah, if you're North Miami or actual Florida.
Yeah, South Cuba or North Cuba.
North Cuba and actual Florida.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such a great community down here. So just shouts out to all of South Florida players. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. My home away from home. I guess my old home, I guess.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, dude, you would be so surprised. There's so many people that think that John and Brian like live down here, like especially early on. Like I think at that Hialeah tournament that Praveen organized.
Oh
and stuff, both you guys were there. So many people, later were like, "Whatever happened to that guy John that was on your team? Did you guys get rid of him or something? Did he not make the cut?" And there's no, he lives nowhere near here.
No,
so,
not at all.
Yeah.
It is a 3-hour flight for me to get down there.
Yeah. So, Freedom Gaming is spread wide, but, we know South Florida is where you guys want to really call.
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure. But again, thank you, Jack, for hopping on, talking about your day and everything, repping SSG well.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
and also, I got to say, a special thanks to Mikey for the prep, because I would not have had the run I did if not for Mikey's, tutoring and stuff, especially because... as whenever I get onto a new deck list, I always start with some smarter guy who's played the deck a bunch and has, thousands of reps on it. So when I first got into green purple, I just started with Artabax's list. You know what I mean? Like that's just what you do. And then I tweaked it there to eventually have my own stuff. And it was the same thing with Blurple. I hit up Mikey. I was like, I want to try Blurple. What's your list right now? I'm gonna just work on that. And then literally the morning of the 8 case, he's like, hey, so where are you at on your list? And I'm like, here, I cut these, I cut this. I added in these. I went up to 3 on the Hades and stuff. And he was like, dude, we are 2 cards off right now. And I was like, let's go. Like, literally just had made all the same updates and stuff. So, like, just huge shouts to Mikey for letting me use his deck list to tee off of, essentially. You know, like,
you had to play the
such
cards,
an honor.
man.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think would not have been in the position to play that deck if not for like the coaching from him that whole week and a half beforehand. So.
Metafy coming soon if you want to learn how to play Blurple.
Yeah, you know, I will soon, of course, replace him as the South Florida Blurple guy. But no,
when Setting comes out, you know, Blurple's just dead to Mikey because he's gonna play Jafar. He's gonna just So
2 more sets.
Oh, man.
2 sets to go. Yeah,
No.
quarter 2,
Yeah.
quarter 2, 2025. Return of Reign of Jafar, aka Reign of Mikey and Jafar.
Oh, man.
But anyway, like I said, Jack, thank you. It was a pleasure to have you on today. I'm glad.
Thank you guys for having me. This
yeah,
has been
definitely
so fun.
looking forward to hanging out and seeing you in Anaheim. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully we avoid each other.
All separate pods. We will
all separate pods.
Far away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not even, like I don't even want to be like the next table. I want to be like outside the room. Like, I'll look over. I'll be like, "Are you good? Okay, cool."
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want the opportunity to see you at all.
Yep.
But again, to everyone else, thank you guys. Happy New Year to all of you. Because again, like I said, we'll. Even though at time of recording it is not New Year's, but we will be releasing this on New Year's. So happy New Year's to everyone. Hope you guys all have a fun, safe time celebrating the New Year, however you may do it with your family, friends, loved ones. Obviously, thank you to Jack. Thank you to the rest of Free Gaming, and for everyone else, I am John. Hope you guys have a great night. Peace.
See ya.